Blog Talk Radio.
Okay, you guys, relax. Okay? Take a deep breath. Be fine, don't worry. You ready? Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy Come here. Day. Come here and stand over here. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. Y'all gonna have to do better than this. All right, you guys, take your cue from me. La 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 la. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus was. When Jesus was. My Jesus was. When Jesus was. Sins away. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Last part. He taught me how to walk, fight and pray, and he taught me how to live every day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus was. When Jesus was. When Jesus
All right, shalom, shalom. All right, Elder Road, take us through it.
All right. Before we get started, or as we get started, I'm going to bring out a few things tonight. We're going to start with, well, I'm going to lay it all out first, and then we're going to get into it. What we're going to do is I'm going to start with a current event regarding Iran, and then we're going to go into, for the first hour, the Feast of Tabernacles, which is also known as the Feast of Booths. And during the second hour, we're going to go into a study about a sister whose name was Susanna. So, as I'm starting to go into the information regarding the current event, what I'd like you to do, at least for the first hour, is have your Bible, your pens and your paper, and for those of you who have a Zonderbans Bible dictionary, you're going to need that as well. So, there's a quick overview, and before we get into that, Brother Xavier, can you take us through the Hebrew Credo in Hebrew, and then follow it up in English?
Yes, sir. Shema Yashala Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad. Shema Yashala Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad. Shema Yashala Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Amen.
Praise the Father. There's something that I want everybody to look at. I'm looking at it right now. I heard about it earlier today. but it's another one of these false flags. With the teachings and understanding for those of us that have it and those who are trying to get it, we want to keep our eyes on Iran. We're not going to go through the teachings on Iran tonight. We can leave that up for questions later on in the show. But Iran is something that the children of Israel, we want to keep our eye on that country and have an understanding of how the West is dealing with that particular country. I want to just start out with this. For those of you that may have a map, if you don't have it with you right now, when you get an opportunity, get a map of the earth and a world map and look at Iran and see where Iran is located within the earth. And as you're doing that, you also want to look at NATO and the U.S. forces that have surrounded Iran. You look at countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, you look at Qatar and all these other countries. And if you do the research, you will notice that Iran is surrounded by military forces. There's a reason for that, and that's prophetical. Having said that, let me bring out the information that came out today. I'm just going to read it verbatim. This came out of the Washington, D.C. wire. The United States Justice Department is accusing the Iranian government of trying to assassinate Saudi Arabia's ambassador to the United States in a plot that has been foiled by federal agents. The United States is committed to holding Iran accountable for its actions. Having said that, mind you, Iran has not plotted against America, and Iran is trying to hold America accountable for its actions through their president, Ahmadinejad. Read some more. Charges stemming from the plot were filed in New York by the Justice Department. They go on to tell you about these suspects, and come to find out that these suspects were working with either a CIA operative or they were working with someone who we would call a CI, which is a word for that, a confidential informant. So I don't want to give my personal opinion on this, but through the scriptures and understanding Edom, here's another way to put pressure on Iran by the Western powers. And remember, Iran, when you look at the map of the earth and you see that they're surrounded, not only physically surrounded by their borders, but if you look at what they call the autumn, summer, or something of that nature, I probably got it wrong, but you look at what has gone on in Tunisia, in Egypt, and all these other Arab countries that are still associated with the West. They got the pressure on Iran, and they're not going to give. So when you hear this kind of information, just understand, keep an eye on Iran, keep an eye on the NATO forces, the Western powers, and have an understanding. Don't just listen to what the media reports are sharing with you. Look at it through scripture, through prophecy of why Iran is where they are, how they will take no silver or gold, and that will give you an understanding of why they have been surrounded and why you see these types of things coming out is they're trying to implicate or they were trying to assassinate a Saudi Arabian ambassador on American soil. It gives the United States and the Western powers more power to sit over there and try to attack this nation, the nation of Iran. So keep an eye on that. If you have any questions, we can go into it to some detail a little later on in the show, but we want to bring that out as current events. Brother Xavier, do you have any current event that you'd like to bring forth?
Yeah, I'm getting word Obama they're bringing some accusation against Obama, and so it might be looking towards impeachment. So that might take a big effect in the black community as they begin to rise up. So that's my current event so far.
Well, that's a good one, and I'm not going to expound on it too much, but the black community supported Obama, and many still do blindly, believing that the person who sits on that seat is righteous. We know we beg to differ. A lot of things have come out in terms of change, and we can go into that study another time in terms of change. But the change that everyone got, especially the black community and our other brothers and sisters within Israel, they didn't get the change that they expected. Now, I don't know if they were reading the Bible or not. For those of us who are in it, we knew better. But he's just a person sitting on that throne. He's done more damage than what his predecessor Bush has done. So, anyway, having said that, let's get into the lesson. The first lesson is going to be about the Feast of Tabernacles, which is also known as the Feast of Booths. I want to start out in Exodus chapter 12. We're going to start at verse 1 in Exodus chapter 12 and read down to, I want to say verse 2.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 2.
Yes, and and let me lay the table out. I apologize. This is at the time period that we as the children of Israel were still in captivity with Egypt. Moses and Aaron have been going to Pharaoh through the power of the Most High to speak to Pharaoh to let the people go. And we know that the Most High hardened Pharaoh's heart. So he wasn't about to let this happen. So this night here, or this month that we're going to talk about, it is the month that kicked it all off before the last plague came down upon Egypt. And this last plague was enough to allow us to leave the nation of Egypt and to make our exodus. So having said that, let's start with Exodus chapter 12 and verse 1.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
So let's stop right there and get the understanding. Verse 2, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. That month is in the spring. It's typically March or April. Hold that, and we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 1 because that month has a name.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
All right, so right there,
Elder Royal?
So going into it, in Deuteronomy, is giving you the name of that month that was referred to in Exodus chapter 12 and verse 2. When it says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months, that month is the month of Abib. And again, that's March or April. It depends on the year that we're in. We're going to leave that right now and understand that month was March or April. This year, in 2011, Our new year started on or around April 16th. Now, when you look at the whole earth, and you have different societies, but let's just deal with America where we're at. Typically, in this country, New Year starts in the dead of winter. It starts on January 1st, when nothing grows and there's nothing but death around with the ice and the cold and the weather. Our New Year, as the children of Israel, starts in the spring, when things have life. Our God, his name is Ahiah, he's the God of life, not of death. So just want to make that clear. Our New Year's does not start on New Year's Day, January 1st. It starts in late March, early April. So having that understanding, let's go to Leviticus chapter 23. Bear with me one moment. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 23 and
verse 33.
33 it is. We'll go with.
Okay, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 5th day of this month, 7th month, shall be the feast of tabernacles, for 7 days unto the Lord.
So before we get into the feast, and I just hold right there, I just want to make this point. This of 2011, Abib, the first day of the year for the children of Israel, was the month of April. So if you count April as a month, and follow me here, we're going to do what we call spiritual Sesame Street. April is the first month. May is the second month. June is the third month. July is the fourth month. August is the 5th month. September is the 6th month. October is the 7th month. Brother, if you can go back and read verse 34 again.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 5th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord.
Now, I don't want to go into the days where some of you may say, well, wait a minute, today is the 11th. And the scriptures are saying the 15th day. And other times it talks about the 10th day. I don't want to get into that deep tonight. We can bring it out during the question and answer period. But these days start by moons. That's how we, as the children of Israel, that's how our forefathers understood the days and the months and the times. Let me put this out there. We don't deal with the lunar calendar in terms of Sabbaths either. So, having said that, just at this point, understand that we're in the 7th month. We just did the counting from April to October. And the 15th day, I'll bring that out later, but that 15th day has to do with the new moon. And we're right on point as the 11th day going into the Feast of Tabernacles. Go ahead and read, brother. Start at 35.
On the first day shall be an holy convocation. Ye shall do no civil work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you. And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly. And ye shall do no civil work therein. These are the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and a drink offering, everything upon his day.
So what was going on right there is Moses was going over all the feast days. We just kind of went into just one of them, being the Feast of Tabernacles. So we're going to go back into that information. Let me share this with you right now. For any of you that have a Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, I want you to go in and look for the word feast. Hold on just a moment. If you have the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, trying to get the page number for you, that's going to be on, hold on, it's going to be on page 173 is where feasts start. And it's going to take you to the Feast of Tabernacles on page 174. And again, that's in the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. If you happen to have the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary, you still look up the word feast, and for the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths, you will see that that's on page 280. What I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary, and I'm going to read the Feast of Tabernacles or Booths or Ingathering, so we'll have a little better understanding. The Feast of Tabernacles or Booths or Ingathering. This was the last of the sacred festivals under the Old Covenant in pre-exilic times. It began 5 days after the Day of Atonement and lasted 7 days. It marked the completion of the harvest and historically commemorated the wanderings in the wilderness. During this festival, people lived in booths and tents in Jerusalem to remind themselves of how their forefathers wandered in the wilderness and lived in booths. The sacrifices of the feast were more numerous than at any other. The last day of the feast marked the conclusion of the ecclesiastical year. The whole feast was popular and joyous in nature. So we're going to stop right there. This is the last feast of the year. It marks 7 days. We're going to go through the scriptures to prove that. The first day starts as a Sabbath day. We're in a Sabbath in Shabbat Shalom. We're in a Sabbath right now. This time, next Tuesday, when the sun goes down, we will be into another Sabbath. And I'm going to bring this out. When it said about booths, and let me just read that again.
What page was that again?
In the Zondervan's Pictorial, it's in page 280, and in the Compact, I can read out of that as well. Hold on. Here we go. And in the Compact Bible Dictionary, which is also Zondervan's, it starts at page 173 under Feast, but on 174 is where you'll see the Feast of Tabernacles. And since I have the Compact Bible Dictionary, I'm going to read out of that. I'm on page 174 when it starts off as the Feast of Tabernacles, and I'll read. The Feast of Tabernacles was the last of the feasts prescribed by the law. It began 5 days after the Day of Atonement. It commemorated the entrance into the Promised Land after the wandering in the wilderness. So kind of going back, we just had, I believe that was last Thursday, is when we had the Day of Atonement. If you count those days to right now, we are in the Feast of Tabernacles, and we have this as a Sabbath to us. All right, let's get some scriptures to support what we're bringing forth here. Let's go back to Leviticus 23 and 34. You can start at 33.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord.
So we're at the beginning of 7 days of the Feast of Tabernacles. Let's go down to Deuteronomy. Let's skip over to Deuteronomy chapter 16, and we're going to read verse 13.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 13. Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. After that, thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine.
Now remember, during this time period, we were an agrarian society. The winter, we're already in fall. So they're gathering in everything that they had at that time period, and they're going to have this big feast. And it's going to last for 7 days because the winter is approaching. Let's go down to, let's go to Ezra. When we get to Ezra, we're going to read chapter 3 and verse 4. Ezra is, just for those who may not know, Ezra is right after 2nd Chronicles and right before Nehemiah in your Old Testament.
Ezra chapter 3, that verse 4, right?
That's correct.
They kept also the Feast of Tabernacles, as it is written, and offered the daily burnt offerings by number, according to the custom, as the duty of every day required.
Now, we don't do the burnt offerings anymore. And if we understand it, with the laws, there was the ceremony, the sacrificial laws. We already know that Yeshua came back for us as the ultimate sacrifice. So when you're reading about these certain feasts, and we're going to use the Feast of Tabernacles as an example, we're no longer doing burnt offerings to the Most High. This is the time period when we should sit over here and get in the Word. And who is the Word? That's Yeshua. This is the time period that we do that. We have our feast on a Sabbath day, which we should be having tonight if we have the ability to do so. And on the 8th day from tonight, we're supposed to do another feast. It's a holy convocation. It's all of us coming together. We're doing the coming together part right now. But just be mindful when you see these scriptures, and it tells us that we're supposed to be doing these sacrifices and burnt offerings. We are supposed to do a sacrifice. The sacrifice is keeping the day holy. If you don't have to work, try not to work. There is grace there, and the Most High does understand. But make your own personal sacrifices, and your personal sacrifices should be toward the Most High through Yeshua. So I just wanted to hopefully get that understanding. Now I would like to go to Hosea chapter 12 and verse 9.
Okay, Hosea chapter 12, verse 9. And I, that am the Lord thy God, from the land of Egypt, will yet make thee to dwell in tabernacles, as in the days of the solemn feast.
Tabernacle. So let's do this. Let's go into the Strong's and understand a tabernacle. We're also going to get some understanding, and we're going to look up booths, because remember, this is the feast is known as the Feast of Tabernacles and the Feast of Booths. So when the scripture says in Hosea chapter 12 and 9, and I that am the Lord thy power from the land of Egypt will yet make thee to dwell in tabernacles as in the days of the solemn feast. Let's bring that out. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to read this. This is in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. I've got the pictorial. In the pictorial, it is on page 820. And in the Compact Bible Dictionary, and the word is tabernacle. We're trying to get some understanding here. Okay, there we go. In the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, it is on page 574. And what I'm going to do right now is deal with the Compact Bible Dictionary. And I'll read, tabernacle, portable sanctuary that served as a place of worship for the Israelites from the time of the wilderness wanderings until the building of the temple by Solomon. So it lets you know that it was a portable sanctuary. That was the tabernacle. I'm going to give you another word, because this is also called the Feast of Booths. Feast of Tabernacles and a Feast of Booths. So in your Zondervan, you want to look up booths, and that spelling is B-O-O-T-H. Okay, I'm not finding it there. Bear with me. Okay, I'm not seeing it in the Compact Bible Dictionary. Let me look again. It should be there. There it is. In the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, the word booth is on page 92. And it reads, a temporary shelter generally made of tree branches. The Zondervan's pictorial basically gives you the same information. So when we go back to Hosea chapter 12 and verse 9, Brother Xavier, read that.
And I that am the Lord thy God from the land of Egypt will yet make thee to dwell in tabernacles, as in the days of the solemn feast.
Right, so these tabernacles are, some might look at it as these are the Holy of Holies before a temple was built. That's not the understanding. The understanding is these are booths. That means that they're temporary shelters that are generally constructed of tree branches. So the bottom line is, during the Old Testament, when we observe this feast, prior to coming into walled cities, which is Jerusalem, we observe this particular holy day in tents or in shelters, something that was made out of wood and trees, and we kind of got under those things, and that's how we operated. Once we got into Jerusalem and we had walled cities, our people would still leave their homes and go out to something temporary, which reminded them, as we're trying to remind you now, you're in Babylon, this place is temporary. This is not our place of rest. In Jerusalem, even though they had Jerusalem, the Most High knew that that would be temporary. So they would go out and practice on these feast days, on the Feast of Tabernacles, to leave their homes and go to these booths or these tabernacles and praise the Father and have their feast. Let's jump ahead here and let's go to the end times. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 16. And setting the stage up here, kind of gave you, hopefully we've done a good job. If not, you'll have questions for us. But we kind of give you an understanding of the Feast of Tabernacles, what day it falls on what month, and why we do this. Why we observe this as a holy day. Not only because it's a commandment, we get an understanding of why we're obeying this particular commandment. Having said that, we're going to go into Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 16. And just to let you know that a lot of these things that have happened in the past are just a vision of things that are going to happen to us in the future. And we're going to prove that right now with Zechariah 14 and 16 as it pertains to the Feast of Tabernacles.
Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
So let's stop right there. Let's get some understanding through a precept, because this is Zechariah. He has a prophecy. He's prophesying about us keeping the Feast of Tabernacles with all these other nations who are going to come to Jerusalem. He's not talking about that time period that he was in. This is future prophecy. So let's go to a future prophecy. Let's go to Revelation chapter 21. Hold Zechariah 14 and 16. We're going to come back to it. So let's go to Revelation chapter 21. And let's get verse. Let's start at verse 22. And we're going to read down to verse 26.
Revelations 21, verse 22. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof.
And let me just stop right there and give some understanding. In verse 22 says, and I saw no temple therein, for the Lord our power almighty, and the Lamb are the temple of it. The temple of what? That's Jerusalem. Verse 23, and the city, again, sharing with you that that's Jerusalem. And if you read the scriptures, chapter 21 beforehand, that'll bring it out to you as well. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, because that city was Jerusalem. Why did it not have a need? For the glory of the Most High did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Read.
And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. and there shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it.
So the scriptures are very clear. There's going to be the children of Israel, but there's also going to be other nations that were saved. And these nations are going to honor Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem. And this is the new Jerusalem, mind you. And they're going to honor the Most High and His Son, Yeshua. So, having that understanding, let's go back to Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 16.
Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16.
See what they're going to do right now with these other nations that we know that we're going to be dealing with, and they're going to be honoring the Most High and Yeshua, and they're going to be up in Jerusalem. Let's see what they're going to be doing, partaking in.
And it came to pass that everyone that is left of all nations, of all the nations which came against Jerusalem, shall even go up from year to year to worship the King.
Who is the King?
Yeshua.
Go ahead.
The Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
So they're not keeping them now. They're giving us Thanksgiving and this and that, but there's going to be those from the Gentiles that are coming from other nations, and the scripture is very clear. They will come from year to year to worship Yeshua, and they too will be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. Let's go to Zechariah 14. We're still in chapter 14. Let's just skip down to verse 18.
Skip down to verse 18. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 18. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord shall smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
So a lot of us who came out of the Christian church, we've heard the scripture before. That, you know, if you weren't dealing with the Most High at the end and there was not going to be rain, or these different nations were not going to get rain for the year, and that kind of thing. We do have that understanding, but let's dig a little deeper, or it's already been revealed to us. It says, wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that not come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So that Feast of Tabernacles is going to be in the millennium, not just right now. And he will deal with them. His scriptures don't come back void. Let's go to verse 19.
Zechariah chapter 14, verse 19. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to the Feast of Tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto the Lord, and the pots in the Lord's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judea shall be holiness unto the Lord of hosts, and all they that eat that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and see it therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts.
Praise the Father. Praise the Father. So I believe that's crystal clear. If folks have questions, at this point, Brother Xavier, do you have anything to add to the Feast of Tabernacles?
Well, I had a question. So did they place their tents out for 7 days straight?
My understanding, and that is a good question, I need to do a little more research, but my understanding is that the feast lasted 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
The first day was the Sabbath. The 8th day was the Sabbath. I don't want to give out misinformation. I have some additional books that do go into a little more detail than what I have tonight. So if you don't mind, brethren, hold that, and I will definitely get back with you. I don't like to give out wrong information, and I don't have that information if they kept those booths out for the entire 7 days. My inkling, up under my own understanding, is that they did, but the scriptures are very clear for us not to lean unto our own understanding.
Okay. Well, callers, if you guys have any questions, you guys can press 1 dealing with the Feast of Tabernacles, or you can call in 714-816-4695. Yeah, and we'll give that some time. Elder Royal, you said you wanted to go in after this into the women's. Sister, can't remember her name now. Sister Judith? No, not Judith.
No, that would be Sister Susanna, and in the Apocrypha.
Okay, Sister Susanna. So, well, if you guys have any questions, just press 1 again, and if not, I hope you guys got your highlighters, because that was some good information right there. Y'all always want to highlight. I know the word is just, I mean, when I got into the information, was trying to receive the information, I didn't want to mark my Bible. And I found out, man, I just had to highlight. So I thought I'd share that tonight with those that's listening. Have your highlighters. Start highlighting. Okay, Sister Susanna.
Before we go into that, and I take it there's no questions on the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Booths. Let us, at this point in time, I'm going to turn this back over to Brother Xavier.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Okay?
take it off mute. Okay, there we go. All right, shalom. Elder Royal, take us into it.
All right, I want to start off with Shabbat Shalom because we are definitely in the Sabbath right now. We have from sundown tonight to sundown tomorrow to be in this Feast of Tabernacles. We've got 7 days, and on the 8th day, this time next Tuesday, we have another Sabbath. So I just want to put that out there. We're about to go into a story and try to set the table here out of the Apocrypha. Have your Bibles. We're going to go into the Bible briefly, and the majority of the study is going to come out of the Apocrypha. And the book we're going to go into is the history of Susanna. But before we get there, I want to go into 1 Corinthians, and then I want to kind of lay something out, and then we'll get into the history of Susanna, that book. So, Brother Xavier, if we could start with 1 Corinthians, we'll go to chapter 11, and we'll read from verses 1, and we'll stop at verse 3.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinance as I delivered them unto you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is the Most High.
So this is Paul teaching right now. He's giving us edification. And in verse 2, he's saying, I praise you, brethren, which means sisters as well, that you remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances. So for us, that's the law, statutes, and commandments, as Paul delivered them to us. That's what he's putting out there. Then he goes into something that we call the divine order. The divine order is, verse 3, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ. So, sisters, when we're examining a brother or a husband, a boyfriend or what have you, we want to examine that brother through the scriptures. And we want to make it perfectly clear that that brother or husband or man that you're filtering through the scriptures, he's not automatically the head. The Christ is not automatically the head of him. He has to be walking in the law, statutes, and commandments, and he has to love Yeshua, and he has to love Ahiah. And you'll understand that through his fruits. So, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is Ahiah. Understand this clearly. That if that man, we already know that Ahiah's got it together. We know he's the head of Christ. We already understand that Yeshua's got it together. It's the men that we've got to look at, and it's the men that you need to filter through these scriptures. If your man is dealing with the law, statutes, and commandments, and treating you a certain kind of way, that you can go through the scriptures and filter it and understand that he's treating you as you should be treated through the scriptures, and he's been baptized, then you still work with that brother, but understand that's a brother who is the man, what it says, the head of every man is Christ. He's that man. He's that man. So, having said that, just kind of want to lay that out there in terms of the divine order. So where am I going with that? What I'm about to do is take us into the history of Susanna. And I want to put it out there like this. This story is a brief story, and we're going to go through it. We're going to go through almost every verse of this book because it is so small. But the understanding that we're trying to bring out is this. When we bring out 1 Corinthians, That's dealing in your relationships with a man, the boyfriend, the husband. And we brought out the information on he needs to be with Christ for him to be the head of you. That's crystal clear, not just a man. But there's times when the sisters are not just dealing with the man in their house, their boyfriend, their husband, or whatnot. They're dealing with men that have some kind of power over them. And whether that's a pastor of a Christian church, whether that's a boss, a uncle, or some employer, there's some man that has some authority over you. That's not your loved ones, not your husbands, not your boyfriend. And that's why I want to bring this story up, because this story is going to bring some information to you, sisters, that I'm sure you already know in terms of having a lot of men in authority over you, and how do you deal with that when they're bringing something foul? So let's start at the history of Susanna, and we're going to see how this sister dealt with it. Let's start with the history of Susanna, and we're going to start at verse 1.
The history of Susanna, out of the Apocrypha. There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Lord.
And one that feared the Lord. Go ahead.
Her parents also were righteous, and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses.
As we're supposed to be teaching our children the laws of Moses.
Now Joachim was a great rich man, and had a fair garden joining unto his house. And to him restored the Jews, because he was more honorable than all others. The same year were appointed 2 of the ancients of the people to be judges, such as the Lord spake of, that wickedness came from Babylon from ancient judges who seemed to govern the people.
Okay, so this is very important right here, this particular verse. That same year appointed 2 of the ancients. Now these were not ancient men, they were 2 of the ancients. They were ancient because of that ancient Babylon doctrine. Ancients, and let me read it again. Well, brother, go ahead and read that.
Verse 5. The same year were appointed 2 of the ancients of the people to be judges, such as the Lord spake of, that wickedness came from Babylon from ancient judges.
All right, so you see how that information is being brought forth. These 2 ancients were appointed. They were appointed to be judges, so that means they had authority and power over the people. And it says, the Lord spake of this, that wickedness came from where? From Babylon, from ancient judges who seemed to govern the people. Go ahead.
Who seemed to govern the people. These kept much at Joachim's house, and all that had any suit in law came unto him.
So what this is bringing out is Joachim, these 2 ancients, these elders, well, he hasn't brought it out yet that they're elders, but they are, but these ancient cans, these judges, they were hanging out at Joachim's house. And here's the next thing. In the society that we're in right now, if there's an issue with the judges, we've got to go to a court of law in our own city, our own county, or what have you. Because Joachim was a rich man, they would come to his house. They were hanging out with him, and anybody that had a suit or had some kind of lawsuit going on, they went to Joachim's house, and they let these ancient judges deal with the legal issues at hand. Go ahead.
Now when the people departed away at noon, Susanna went into her husband's garden to walk. And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her.
Their lust was inflamed to her. Now, these men happen to be up in her house, dealing with her husband and doing all their work, judging people. But when the people would leave, these two, this is the first verse that brings out that these are elders. These are two elders, pastors, however you want to call it, that saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her. I'm just putting this out to the sisters because you know it as well, if not better than us brothers, is that as you walk the streets, as you go into school, as you walk your life so far, there's always been men lusting after you, whether you've asked for that kind of lust or not. You know, whether you've been a proper woman or whether you're doing some other thing, it doesn't matter. That's happened to you. And that's when we have our little daughters and we watch them as little girls, but once they start to get to teenagers, we start trying to watch out for them because we know that there's not only the young cats their age that are starting to lust after them, but you got the older men that start lusting after them. So you sisters have been through that, and we look at these people as being perverted and have a perversion towards you, looking at you as a sex object. So read verse 8 again, and let's go into verse 9.
And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her. And they perverted their own minds, and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments.
So they're not trying to deal with the Most High right now, and they're making it very clear. They turned away their eyes not to look into heaven. Who's in heaven? The Most High, sitting on his throne. The God of righteousness, the God of just. He's a just God. So they didn't even try to look there, nor remember judgments. And remember, they're dealing with, they're the ancients, that's what they were called at first, and they're dealing with a Babylonian doctrine. Verse 10.
All right, we in the Apocrypha, the history of Susanna. We at verse 10. And albeit they both were wounded with her love, yet durst not one show another his grief. For they were ashamed to declare their lust that they desired to have to do with her. Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her. And
now, hold on just a moment. They both looking at her. They're both lusting at her, knowing that her husband is obviously a powerful man. The scriptures tell us clearly that he's rich, he's very wealthy, but he's so powerful that they come to his house to sit up in his home to pass judgment, but they're lusting after his wife. And it says here in verse 10, and albeit they both were wounded with her love, she didn't love these cats at all. But neither one of them, it says, yet durst not one show another his grief. So they was lusting so hard, they wanted to just take her and do something, but they're not going to show that to one another, but it's in their mind. That's what they're plotting. That the seeds have already been planted. Verse 12.
Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her. And the one said to the other, let us now go home, for it is dinner time. So when they were gone out, they parted, the one from the other, and turning back again, they came to the same place.
Now stop right there, just to understand the perversions that these brothers were dealing with. So when they were gone out, they parted one from the other. So they walk in their own separate paths. And then what happens? They turned back again. And they came back to the same place. Back to where Susanna's living at, and she's living in peace with her husband. Read.
And after that they had asked one another the cause. They acknowledged their lust. Then appointed they a time both together when they might find her alone.
So what this is bringing out, they had those thoughts in the earlier verses. They had them thoughts within themselves. They separate, but they hadn't shared that with one another. Because each one's lusting after her on their own, privately, internally, within their own spirit. So when they take off and leave, and they both come back, and they see each other back at the same spot, they kind of start chopping it up a little bit. What are you doing back here? What are you doing back here? I'm here for that. I'm here for that sister. And now, not only is it I'm here for the sister, they take it to a whole nother level. Then they appointed a time, both of them together. Now they coming together on this thing. And they plotting. And they appointed a time to both come back together when they might find her what? Alone. That's creepy. That's some creepy madness. It happens all the time. Read.
And it fell out, as they watched a fit time, she went in as before with 2 maids only, and she was desirous to wash herself in the garden, for it was hot.
So this is innocent. It's telling you right here through the scriptures, it was hot. We know she's a woman of means. She's married to a rich man. She has 2 maids only, which means that she typically has more maids waiting on her. But at this particular day, she only has the 2 maids. And she's desiring to wash herself in the garden, in her own private garden, because it's hot. That's like you going to take a bath in your own private home or your own private residence, and what's wrong with that? Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And there was nobody there save the 2 elders that had hid themselves and watched her.
Say that again, brother. Read that again.
And there was nobody there save the 2 elders that had hid themselves and watched her.
Now, nowadays, you've got, everybody's got a video camera. You've got to be careful what homes you go over to and what kind of brothers you're dealing with. Because they may be trying to videotape you, having some stuff up there in the bathrooms. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. These things happen. These things happen. These are the times that we're in right now. So going through, these are ancient scriptures, but you see these 2 elders have came together and hid themselves. Remember, they had an appointed time. So they had to know when she does her daily rituals, such as bathing and eating and that kind of thing. And they made sure to be there, hiding themselves. And what's the old school name for that? I don't even think anyone uses that anymore. Yeah, peeping toms. That's what they were doing. That's what's up right now. Read.
Mm-hmm. Verse 17. Then she said to her maids, bring me oil and washing balls, and shut the garden doors that I may wash me.
So at this point, she's kind of shooing them away. She's wanted some private time, just for herself. If we go back to verse 2, I'm just going to read that. Her parents also were righteous and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. And verse 2 says, and he took a wife. I'm just going to get to it. A very fair woman and one that feared the Lord. So I may be reading a little bit more into it than the scriptures are, and I apologize for that. But we know that she feared the Most High. And she's kind of shooed her maids away. She can just have some private time to herself and do her own bathing. Go ahead.
And they did as she bade them, and shut the garden doors, and went out themselves at private doors to fetch the things that she had commanded them. But they saw not the elders, because they were hid. Now when the maids were gone forth, the two elders rose up and ran unto her, saying, Behold, the garden doors are shut, that no man can see us, and we are in love with thee. Therefore consent unto us, and lie with us.
Now check this out. Check this out. This woman who fears the Most High, fears the Lord, she's at a place of repose. She's over there, it's hot. She's taking her bath. She's even at the place, I tell the other sisters, the maid, y'all go ahead and do your thing. Just let me have my own little piece of time right here. And as she's doing that, out of nowhere come these two elders, these two ancients, these two brothers who have been peeping on her and lusting after her. Now they're bringing the fear. And as a woman, women have been in that position where they think everything is good. They're having a private moment or whatever, and here come a brother or some brothers out of nowhere, and these brothers are putting it down that we want you. We've been watching you. You the one. Read.
Verse 21. If thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee, that a young man was with thee, and therefore thou didst send away thy maids from thee.
So here it is. Take the deal. And if you think back in Matthew, when Yeshua was walking the earth and he was fasting the 40 days and 40 nights, and he had gotten weakened through that fast, and here comes Satan. And Satan told him, he gave him the deal. I can give you, he showed him all the different kingdoms in the earth. And said that Satan said it was in his hands to deliver these to Yeshua. All Yeshua had to do was what? Bow down and worship Satan. It comes down to all of us. Do we take the deal or do we not? They just put down the deal on Sister Susanna. We're going to make up a story talking about you were in love with some man. Now, I'm sorry, let me back up. Verse 20, they're telling her, we're in love with you. That's not love. That's far from love. That's lust, and they'll get ready to try to rape her. And in 21, they're going to come up with a story. If you don't lay down with us and let us have our way and do what we want to do with you, we're going to bear false witness. It says witness, but that's a false witness. And that's against the commandments of will. Thou shalt not bear false witness. But they're saying it. If thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee that a young man was with thee. And therefore thou didst send away thy maids from thee. So we're going to get her husband involved. She's over here with some young cat, kind of insinuating that the husband may have been an older man. But either you lay down with us and let us do what we want with you, or we're going to concoct this false witness against you, sister. So she has a choice. Sister Susanna has a clear choice. Does she take the deal, or does she deal with the Most High? Let's see what the scriptures tell us.
Elder, if I can add something, I just want to add a precept to this, because as the law has stated, thou shalt not bear false witness. Now, what they also did was covet.
Bring it, brother, bring it.
Now, along with the covenant, now they serving another god, because they serving unto sin. You could add so many laws that they broke because of just one thing that they had set in their heart, which leads me to the precept in James chapter 2
verse 10. It says, "For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all." Just meaning how many when you break in one law to covet, you eventually lead into bearing false witness, or maybe even to kill. Because what would have happened if they would have found her guilty? I mean, I didn't put the cart before the horse. Okay.
Cart before the horse, but that's all right. Keep going, brother. You doing okay?
I mean, so the judgment for this, what they saying, is death. So look at how many laws they done broke just by coveting their neighbor. I just want to throw that in there.
I'm glad you did it. Why don't we just get it real quick? Let's go to Exodus chapter 20. And let's go to verse 16 and 17.
"Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's."
And while we're at that, because you brought forth, and it's true, what are they dealing with? What God are they dealing with? Let's go to verse 5. We're still in chapter Exodus 20. Let's bounce down to 5 real quick.
"Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me."
Now, if you remember in the beginning, that was verse 5. It was saying ancients of the people to be judges. They came from Babylon, from ancient judges. The ancient Babylonians were not dealing with the God of the Hebrews. They were not dealing with Ahiah. So, just want to bring that out as well. Then, thank you, brother.
Yeah, definitely. One more, because we hit that. Just one more.
Let's bring it.
1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. And I'm getting this one because it describes what happens to Saul after he decides to be disobedient. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. "And Samuel said, Hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord?" Okay, so he asking a question. Does the Lord have great delight in burnt sacrifices? In burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Here's the answer. "Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams." So basically what he's telling Saul is it's better to obey than to be forgiven. Because when you do the sacrifice, that's your chance of repentance and not to do it again. But he's saying it's behold. I love that word, behold. To obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Right? So that's what these brothers is dealing with right now. Stubbornness. Because they know they at Brother Joachim's house and they judging the people. So, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. What God are they dealing with? And stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he has also rejected thee from being king. Just wanted to bring that out.
And praise the Father, brother. That's blessed. Absolutely blessed.
Praise the Father. Okay, back to the history of Susanna.
Yes.
Okay. The history of Susanna, chapter 21. If thou wilt not we will bear witness against thee that a young man was with thee.
And brother, I'm sorry. It's chapter 21, and we could hit him with the verse 21.
Oh, yeah.
Some people may be joining us right now.
Okay, cool. We in the Apocrypha, the history of Susanna. We have verse 21. If thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee that a young man was with thee, and therefore thou didst send away thy maids from thee. Then Susanna sighed, and said, I am straitened on every side, for if I do this thing, it is death unto me, and if I do it not, I cannot escape your hands.
All right, so let's get some understanding real quick, because remember, this sister understood the scriptures. So when she says, let's go back to what is that, Leviticus. We're going to go back to 20. Hold where we are. We're just going to bring 20 out again. We should have just parked there for a moment, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I said Leviticus. I'm sorry. I meant to say Exodus 20. And let me get it real quick. Whoa, wait a minute.
Which one you looking for?
Adultery? Thou shalt not commit adultery. I'm going to have to go to Leviticus for it.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 14.
Yeah.
Thank you. There it is, brother. I appreciate that. Let's go back to 22. In the Apocrypha, the history of Susanna, verse 22. Try to get an understanding of what she's bringing forth.
Then Susanna sighed and said, I am straitened on every side, for if I do this thing, it is death unto me.
Stop right there. What is death unto her? When you look at Exodus chapter 20 and verse 14, that's a commandment. Thou shalt not commit adultery. When we go into Leviticus, it will tell you what happens if you commit adultery during these time periods before there was the kind of grace that we have now upon the Yeshua. You would be put to death. So understand this sister's mind thought of what she's going through right now, and she's bringing it forth. She sighed and said, I'm straight on every side, for if I do this thing, it is death unto me. That means if I tell you, no, I'm not even dealing with you like that, I know you're going to lie, you guys are over me. You have power and authority over me. My husband's going to look at me a certain kind of way. All the people are going to look at me a certain kind of way. Only between me and the Most High, we're the ones that know that I haven't done this, but I've been accused of it. And I already know the way it's going to go down is I'm going to be put to death. So that's one thing she's thinking about. And read the next portion of it, Brother Xavier.
Where we at? Oh, okay.
First, we had history of Susanna, verse 22.
Okay. Then Susanna sighed and said, I am straitened on every side, for if I do this thing, it is death unto me, and if I do it not, I cannot escape your hand.
I cannot escape your hand, and you know they're going to try to ravish her. Remember, these were the peeping toms. These are the guys hiding in the garden, and they're bringing forth this false accusation on her. So they ran pretty much laid down the gauntlet. We're gonna both have you. It's gonna be as simple as that. Read and let's see what this sister does. Let's see what Sister Susanna does. How she handles this situation through the Most High.
It is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it, than to sin in the sight of the Lord.
Say that again.
It is better for me to fall into your hand and not do it than to sin in the sight of the Lord.
Let's just stop there for a moment. And this may not be the greatest precept, and we love the precepts. Hold that. Go to 1 John. And we're going to come right back to that. We're going to go to 1 John chapter 5 and verse 3.
For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous.
They're not grievous. So this sister was dealing with a grievous situation, but she knew dealing with the commandments were not grievous. So let's go ahead and read verse 23 again, because she's reasoning in her mind, but she's also, that's part of the flesh, she's also reasoning in the spirit. She's operating in the spirit here.
Okay, verse 23. Well, verse 24. Wait, verse 23. It is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it than to sin in the sight of the Lord. With that, Susanna cried with a loud voice, and the two elders cried out against her. Then. And
hold on, brother. I'm so sorry. I'm messing it up real quick because this is a good part of the story. But let's go back to verse 23.
Uh-huh.
And when you read verse 23 in the Apocrypha, the history of Susanna, verse 23, I want you to go back to 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4, and we're going to precept it appropriately.
Okay. So we in 1 John chapter 3 verse.
Gotta be verse 4. And before we do that, let's go back to the history of Susanna, verse 22. And I apologize, brother, for being all over the place. Verse 22.
Then
I'm sorry, verse 23.
Verse 23.
And then from there, if we can take the audience to 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4.
It is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it than to sin in the sight of the Lord. 1 John chapter 3 verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
So what the sister was bringing out is that it's better for her to fall into their hands and not do what they wanted to do to her. And I want to make this clear. To fall into their hands, what she's saying is, I'm not going to sit over there and lay down with you. I'm not going to go along with this. I'll just fall into your hands and have to deal with the death penalty that y'all bringing forth. That's what I'm going to deal with. And she's saying, because if it is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it than to sin in the sight of the Most High. That's why we went to 1 John chapter 3 to get an understanding of what is sin. Sin is a transgression of the law. So this sister clearly understood where she was at in terms of how these brothers are trying to pinch her and put her into a certain kind of situation. But instead of taking the deal that they put forth with their evilness, she fell back on the law, statutes, and commandments.
Yep, and just to add in another precept, in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 31. That's Hebrews chapter 10, verse 31. And you hear her say, like, the proper words she used is that I can fall into the hands of you rather than sinning in the sight of the Lord. And listen to this scripture. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. And this is based off of sin, because once you sin, you fall into the hands of the Lord. And it could be a done deal.
with him. So she knew that from the situation, rather than falling into the hands of the Lord, as meaning as after you sin, because after sin comes punishment.
That's right.
You had her, look, I'll just fall into your hands because you can't take my spirit or my soul. It's only one in control of my spirit, mind, spirit, and soul.
And this is the thing, is how this sister, it says that she feared the Most High, but also says that her parents brought her up brought her daughter up according to the law of Moses. She understood what was going down. And instead of taking the deal, she fell back on the commandments and her love for the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, brother.
And the history of Susanna in the Apocrypha, chapter 24. Verse 24. With that, Susanna cried with a loud voice, and the two elders cried out against her. Then ran the one and opened the garden door. So when the servants of the house heard the cry in the garden, they rushed in at a private door to see what was done unto her. But when the elders had declared their matter, the servants were greatly ashamed. For there was never such a report made of Susanna.
Okay, now she's in it. Righteous, has done nothing wrong. Now even her own servants are ashamed of her. They're shamefaced themselves because here comes these people of authority, whether they're uncles, the fathers, guys at work, whatever. These are these people of authority, which are men that have authority over women. These two just happen to be elders. And they caused this to happen to her because she did not take the deal. So they're bringing it forth. They're going to bring that heat, and that's death for her, according to the scriptures, or according to the law. Go ahead, Brother Xavier.
But when the elders had declared their matter, the servants were greatly ashamed, for there was never such a report made of Susanna. And it came to pass the next day, when the people were assembled to her husband Joachim, the two elders came also full of mischievous imagination against Susanna to put her to death.
Now, to put her to death, we already know that's where this was going. She knew that when it was going down. But look behind the scenes. Let's kind of peel this onion back a little bit. Remember what they're saying, that and it came to pass the next day when the people were assembled to her husband. Remember, this is the brother who had the big money and had these two elders over in his house. And remember, they were making judgment. Now he's hearing all of this. And these two elders are coming against all kind of mischievous imaginations against Susanna to put her to death. This is a warning on both sides. If you've got a husband or a brother or boyfriend who's coming over to the house all the time, and you and your husband may be equally yoked, but you may not be, there's an opportunity for you as sisters to be put in this kind of same position. And the reason I'm bringing it out is, how is that man going to look at you? We don't know. Read verse 29.
Verse 29. And said before the people, send for Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, Joachim's wife. And so they sent. Okay. So she came with her father and mother, her children, and all her kindred.
So she done went there and got.
We will continue in their ways.
Sister Toya, you need to. There you go. So she done went and got mom and dad and all her kin folks. If she ain't dealing with this by herself, go ahead.
And these wicked men commanded to uncover her face, for she was covered, that they might be filled with her beauty. Wow.
So can y'all, you sisters see this? We're not the sisters of, our sisters are not the Ishmaelite sisters, where they be covering themselves from head to toe. So we have to understand that. But they were coveting so much that they were trying to make decrees and commandments. Just this is how much they was lusting after her to sit over there just to get a glimpse at her face.
Therefore her friends and all that saw her wept. Then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon her head. And she, weeping, looked up toward heaven, for her heart trusted in the Lord.
Let's stop right there. Remember when these elders, remember when they would not look up in heaven? Remember they would not look up in heaven. And let me just get that real quick. That's at verse 9. And they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. Read what you just brought forth, Brother Xavier.
Then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon her head. And she, weeping, looked up toward heaven, for her heart trusted in the Lord.
She looked up to heaven. They turned their heads against heaven, not dealing with the Most High. She put her heart, she wept and she looked toward heaven. Why? It's because her heart trusted in the Lord. Go ahead.
Okay. And the elder said, as we walked in the garden alone, this woman came in with two maids and shut the garden doors and sent the maids away. Then a young man who there was hid came up unto her and lay with her. Then we that stood in a corner of the garden, seeing this wickedness, ran unto them. And when we saw them together, the man we could not hold, for he was stronger than we, and opened the door and leaped out. But having taken this woman, we asked who the young man was, but she would not tell us. These things we do we testify. And
they just said it too. These things do we testify. And again, going back to bearing false witness. And we'll kind of go up to it. I just want to hit this again too, just to bring this forth for the sisters. In verse 34, it says, then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon her head. How do you think that would make that sister feel? I mean, that's past creepy. And you know they're trying to do what they're doing because they got this lust thing going on. There's spirits on them.
They're trying to take off her veil that she was covered with.
Exactly. And they touching her. Now, her husband, they're not bringing it out right now, but understand the man. These are two guys that he looked at as elders in the church. These guys have all this knowledge. They're judging the people. Now, they're bringing an accusation against his wife. He's kind of looking a certain kind of way. You got to understand that. You got to understand that. And they just brought the accusations out. Let's go to verse 41.
Then the assembly believed them as those that were the elders and judges of the people, so they commanded her to death.
They condemned her to death, which she knew.
Condemned.
How did she know it? She knew it through the scriptures. She knew what she was facing once it went down. And remember, did she take the deal? She didn't take the deal. What did she fall on? She fell back on those commandments, and she fell back with her trust in the Most High. Let's get it.
She
Okay. We at verse 36. And the elders said, oh, excuse me. I didn't move all the way up there. I started highlighting.
That's okay. We at verse 42, Brother Xavier.
Verse 42. Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice and said, O everlasting God, that knowest the secrets and knowest all things before they be. Thou knowest that they have borne false witness against me, and behold, I must die. Whereas I never did such things as these men have maliciously invented against me.
Now she's bringing it forth right now, and what she says is, behold, I must die. She had already made that decision earlier on when they tried to throw it down. Either you do this or this is going to happen. She didn't even hesitate. I'm going to deal with the Most High. I'm going to deal with the commandments, and I will do it unto death. This is how hard this sister Susanna was bringing it forward. Read.
Therefore, when she was led to be, and the Lord heard her voice. Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Lord raised up the Holy Spirit of a young youth, whose name was Daniel.
Whose name was what?
Whose name was Daniel.
Whose name was what?
Daniel.
Daniel in the scriptures. Daniel was so serious, this brother's got a book. It's called the Book of Daniel. Read that again, brother, and take us on into it, because now Daniel's on the scene now.
Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Lord raised up the Holy Spirit of a young youth, whose name was Daniel. His name was Daniel, and mind you this, the scripture's going to bear this out in just a moment. It just said he was a youth. Check this out. Who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. Then all the people turned them toward him and said, What mean these words that thou hast spoken? So he, standing in the midst of them, said, Are ye such fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth, ye have condemned a daughter of Israel? And then this is, and let me bring this forth. This is how the men of Israel, the real men of the children of Israel, looked after our women. Someone's going to throw an accusation. Someone's going to say this about a sister, or say that about a sister, or say the other thing about a sister, and no one's going to examine it, just, okay, well, she's this, she's that, whatever. No. And it's going to come out some more, but this was, remember, these were ancients. These were old elders. You got a youth, first time he's on the scene. His name is Daniel. Read. Return again unto the place of judgment, for they have borne false witness against her. Wherefore all the people turned again in haste, and the elders said unto him, Come, sit down among us, and show it us, seeing God hath given thee the honor of an elder. Woo! Listen to that. And let's back up here real quick. Let's back up, because this is where the story just gets really, really good. In 48, it says, so he's standing in the midst of them. He's talking, this is a youth, talking about Daniel. Are you fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth, you have condemned the daughter of Israel? How is that? A youth is talking to the elders. Verse 49, we turn again to the place of judgment, for they had borne false witness against her, because of the of wisdom and understanding that was given to him through the Most High. He had the wisdom and understanding just to look. He's hearing about all of this, put it together, and he's already told you, false witness. Verse 50, wherefore all the people turned again in haste
Now they're kind of tripping. Whoa, wait a minute. We about to put this sister to death. And this young cat is coming up and bringing out some information. We don't really know who he is. But he's bringing out something that's kind of, we didn't examine this.
Mm-hmm.
And he says a key thing. Ye have condemned a daughter of Israel. We used to cherish our sisters. Ye have condemned a daughter of Israel. You got to give this sister a look. Now, having said that, when we go to verse 50 brings it out too. Let me bring this out. Wherefore all the people turned again in haste. And the elders, now here come these creepy dudes, they came into him and they said, come sit down amongst us. So what does that mean? Come sit with us, we the elders, and show it us. Because you bring it, we don't already make the accusations, but you bring it forth some other information. Seeing the Most High have given thee the honor of an elder. Mm-hmm. So they understood the spirit on the brother Daniel, who, remember, was a youth. Go ahead.
Because that's the spirit of the Most High right there. Just how but the first thing he say, hold on. He say, what did he say first? I am clear from the blood of this woman. That's the first thing you say. That's the spirit of the Most High right there. That was clear. Man, this is hot right here. This is hot. Okay. 50.
Praise the Father. The Spirit is working. Let's get it.
Then said Daniel unto them, put these two aside, one far from another, and I will examine them.
Now let's bring this for us. He didn't say, let's bring this elder to the side and this elder to the side. He says, bring these two and put these two aside, far from one another. He's not having any respect for them. You understand?
So when they were put asunder, one from another, he called one of them and said unto him, O thou that art waxen old in wickedness.
Woo! Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Read that again, because the Spirit is on him. And when we have this information and we deal with the Holy Spirit, not only do the flesh, but we deal with the Holy Spirit, when we go into the scriptures and we give an information, you can see wickedness. You can see people. You have discernment through wisdom and understanding of wickedness and righteousness. Go ahead.
So when they were put asunder, one from another, he called one of them and said unto him, O thou that art waxen old in wickedness, now thy sins which thou hast committed aforetime are come to light. For thou hast pronounced false judgment, and hast condemned the innocent, and hast let the guilty go free. Albeit, the Lord saith, the innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay.
Woo! So he is bringing forth some information. Already told him about his wickedness. Already told him about the false judgment. You condemn the innocent. That's been us. And has let the guilty go free. Who is the guilty? The ones perpetrating the wickedness. Albeit, the Lord said, the innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay. Read.
Now then, if thou hast seen her, tell me, under what tree sawest thou them companying together? Who answered, under a mystic tree.
What kind of tree was that?
Mastic tree.
There it is. Remember that. That's his story.
And Daniel said, very well, thou hast lied against thine own head. For even...
I'm sorry.
And Daniel said, very well, thou hast lied against thine own head. For even now the angel of God hath
received the sentence of God to cut thee in two.
I apologize. I just love this story. Go back to 54 and read 55. Because 55 is bringing the heat. Daniel ain't playing.
Okay, let me say this. Those that's listening on air, we have about 5 minutes. So, within the next 5 minutes, you might want to call in, 714-816-4695. We're going into the third hour. All right. Where we at, Elder Royal?
We are at start at 53.
53.
Yes, sir.
For thou hast pronounced false judgment, and hast condemned the innocent, and haste let the guilty go free. Howbeit the Lord saith, the innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay. Now then, if thou hast seen her, tell me, under what tree sawest thou them companying together, who answered, under a mastic tree?
Now here we go. Daniel, remember, the youth. Daniel is going to bring that heat right now.
So and Daniel said, very well, thou hast lied against thine own head. For even now the angel of God hath received the sentence of God to cut thee in two.
So the Most High, whatever people are doing in wickedness, the Most High doesn't miss any of this. And what Daniel is bringing forth, you didn't lie, you didn't do what you didn't did. The Most High had already heard it, and he's already talked to one of his angels. And the angel of the Most High have received the sentence that the Most High has already pronounced. Angels coming. Read.
So he put him aside and commanded to bring the other, and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan, and not of Judah, beauty hath deceived thee, and lust hath perverted thine heart.
Now, we're not going to go deep into it, but this is a very, very important, maybe we will. This is a very important scripture right here. So he put him aside, and I'm sorry, we're in the Apocrypha, the history of Susanna. We're at verse 56. So he put him aside. That means Daniel put the one aside, which we know that the Most High has already sent judgment on him. Now he's bringing the other one. And he commanded to bring the other, and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan. Brother Xavier, bring out some information of the seed of Canaan.
Seed of Canaan. Now, I would suppose this was talking about the Africans. He was calling them Africans.
Exactly, the Canaanites. So the part I'm trying to bring forth is let's go, we're not going to go there, but think of Esau. Who was Esau dealing with when Esau's mother and father asked him not to marry certain women?
The Canaanites.
And why was that? It doesn't make it clear when we first look at the scriptures, but in Genesis, but we go into the research, who were the Canaanites? They had mixed their seed with who?
Fallen angel.
All right, so let's understand this. Let's go back to verse 56. And remember, we're talking about these ancients, these two elders, dealing with the ancient Babylonian doctrine from the beginning. Read verse 56.
So he put him aside and commanded to bring the other, and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan, and not of Judah, beauty hath deceived thee, and lust hath perverted thine heart. You know, it's interesting because he's really bringing that out. I don't think he's just calling them African.
No, he's not. He's trying to bring out the information of who these people are who is sitting over there in charge of the children of Israel, ruling over them as judges. It didn't say about the one, but it's sure bringing it out about this other one. The one is already, the judgment's already on him. We're going to see what happens to this one, but it goes even deeper by identifying who this particular elder was. He's with the seed of Canaan and not of Judah. He had no business up in there judging anyway over the children of Israel. And Daniel is bringing it down. He's identifying, you're not even of us. Israel has already done their thing. Now we got the tribe of Judah there. You're not even part of Judah. You're a Canaanite.
Man.
And now he's putting it down on him. Beauty hath deceived thee, and lust hath perverted thine heart. He was never given the law, statutes, and commandments in the first place, but he's judging the children of Israel. Or he's judging the children of Israel. You with me?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Verse 57. We in the history of Susanna and the Apocrypha, verse 57. Thus have ye dealt with the daughters of Israel, and they for fear companied with you. But the daughter of Judah would not abide your wickedness.
Can y'all see that? That is powerful. This is what Daniel, the young man, is bringing out to these so-called elders, and this particular one was never even part of the children of Israel. This is real clear. This is the thing that these brothers have been doing. Thus, verse 57, thus have you dealt with the daughters of Israel. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. Having them make a choice. Either you lay with me and let me, what's the vernacular, let me hit it, or I'm going to put you up on charges of death. So what was the average sister do? I mean, in all understanding.
You don't want to die.
You don't want to die, so you've been doing this for a long time, but when you met a daughter of Judah, she would not abide by your wickedness. That's the sister Susanna. Go ahead.
Now therefore tell me, under what tree didst thou take them companying together? Who answered, under a home tree.
Now remember, his boy had answered before that it was up under a mastic tree. Read.
Then said Daniel unto him, well, thou hast lied against thine own head. For the angel of God waited with the sword to cut thee in two, that he may destroy you. Dang. With that, all the assembly cried out with a loud voice and praised God, who saveth them that trust in him. And they rose against the two elders, for Daniel had convicted them of false witness by their own mouth.
By their own mouth.
And according to the law of Moses, they did unto them in such sort as they maliciously intended to do to their neighbor, and they put them to death. Thus the innocent blood was saved the same day. Therefore, Chelcias and his wife praised God for their daughter Susanna, with Jehoiakim, her husband, and all the kindreds, because there was no dishonesty found in her. From that day forth was Daniel had in great reputation in the sight of the people.
Praise the Father. Praise the Father. And before we end with the Daniel portion of it, I just want to go on to this, to verse 63. Therefore Chelcias and his wife praised the Most High for their daughter Susanna. If we go back to verse 2, and let me read this. And he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of who? Chelcias. Chelcias was the father, or the dad. In verse 3, her parents also were righteous, and the parents did what? They taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. So for sisters, it's important that you teach the children. Just think if it was your mom and dad who have taught you certain things, and none of us got that. But you have the ability to do that now, to be able to teach your children the law of Moses. And you pray that if you've taught well enough of your daughter happens to get in a situation like this, God forbid, she's going to do the right thing. In verse 63, therefore Chelseas and his wife, they praised the Most High for their daughter. And even her husband, look at this, with Joachim her husband, and all the kindred, because there was no dishonesty found in her. When it's our day to be looking at the Most High and sitting there, we want Him to find us with no dishonesty, no nothing. We just want to find Him. We want Him to find us with nothing but white on, because we have the blood of Christ on us. In verse 64 says, from that day forth was Daniel had in great reputation in the sight of the people. So when you go into the book of Daniel, understand this is the first time that Daniel had came on the scene, because the Most High used him to do a mighty work with the sister who did a mighty work on faith for the Most High. And she was delivered. So,
and I want to go back to verse 22. I'm going to read that. Then Susanna sighed and said, I am straitened on every side. So after they told her that, lie with us or we're going to bear false witness against you, she, either thinking in her head or speaking to him, let them know, I'm straitened on every side. For if I do this thing, it is death unto me. And if I do it not, I cannot escape your hands. Now, this the thing, because you read in the next verse, it says, it is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it than to sin in the sight of the Lord. And right then it clicked in her mind. The next verse says, with that, Susanna cried with a loud voice. So even as we do in our daily walk, it's like examine things in your head that's going to keep you from sin. Whether it's somebody trying to entrap you or whether you have the choice, examine those things, whether you're going to be put in the hands of the Lord or the hands of men. Because it says, with that, she cried with a loud voice. I'm sure the elders just panicking. They don't know. They call them elders. They just panicking. They didn't know what to do. But she had got it. Soon as it came in, she got it, and she screamed. She knew the path she was going to take. But let me hear some of the mothers out there. Let me hear what y'all teaching y'all daughters from the law. If so, or if you need some help trying to start off where to start teaching from the law, how to start teaching from the law. Let me hear from some of the mothers out there, some of the daughters of Zion that's bearing the children of Zion. If y'all are, you raising your children up and you don't know where to start in the law, or you already worked down the law, let's hear it. I want to hear from y'all, those that got the daughters and in their family, because we see right here that this daughter of Zion, she was raised by righteous parents, which we all trying to be. We trying to make it there. And she was delivered according to her righteousness. Right? That's what the scriptures say. We'll be delivered according to our faith and righteousness. So I'm going to get this call. This is from the 313 area code. 313. Let me see here. Okay. Go ahead. 313-274.
Shalom, Akin Elder.
Shalom, Aqua. What's going on?
Nothing much. I'm really enjoying this lesson. My phone is dying on me, so I hope it doesn't cut off. But this is something that I've been talking to my daughter at 16 about. I have my son, walk with her everywhere, and she does not like it. But this is a lesson that she's going to have to listen to online once it gets archived because it's pretty late here. But I really appreciate this lesson.
All praise to the Most High, Sister Benita. How you doing?
I am blessed. But I know this phone is going to cut off, so let me go ahead and let you guys go so I can at least listen to another caller call in. It's dying on me. Okay, thank you again. All praises to the Most High.
Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. And that's another thing, man. We got to protect our sisters. Because these brothers out here, I mean, man, our brothers are giving into lust. And, you know, it's coming to the leaders also, which is the men. The men are giving into lust as of right now, but we rise as the children of Israel, and we really do need to protect our daughters of Zion. So let me hear y'all. Come on, where the women at? I know y'all enjoyed the Sister Susanna. Raised by righteous parents. I mean, this sister was tough. She put it out on the get-go. I'm not doing it, because either way she was gonna die. But she would rather been in the hands of these dudes who was doing wickedly. She'd rather be in the hands of these dudes who was doing wickedly than be destroyed by the God of all, by the Most High. So, you know, let me hear from the sisters. I want to hear how y'all teaching y'all daughters, because we got to share with each other what's going to make our community better. And if you have ideas on how to raise the daughters up to be righteous.
And let me say this: the reason we go on these scriptures, and the reason we brought up the sisters classes, we know that these are topics that are taboo, not only in the earth about what goes on with sisters, but it's taboo what goes on within our nation. And I'll share with you, sisters, and have comfort in this, and stay encouraged. Stay encouraged. We brought this out to let you know that sisters in the old times, what this sister Susanna went through was so serious. The Most High had someone write it in a book, so that we nowadays can go into this book as we just did and bring this information out to let you sisters know that you're not alone. There's nothing new up under the sun. We're not asking you to bring your stories out or anything like that, but just understand that these issues have gone on from times of old. They continue to go on through the day. And what we need to do as brothers and sisters is to go into the book, bring this information out, so that brothers, this is for brothers as well, how they know how to deal with their women. And remember, that's when we went into 1 Corinthians, talking about the divine order. Christ, the Most High being the head of Christ, Christ being being the head of man, and man being the head of woman. It's all a divine order if everyone's aligned and doing the same thing and working upon this, operating upon the same spirit. And we get that operation upon the same spirit, for one, dealing with Christ, trying to get back to the Father, and relying on the commandments. And that's what Sister Susanna did. So just wanted to put that out there. And if you're raising your children up, sisters, by taking them into the Word and giving them that information so they know these commandments, then the sisters that are going to come behind us, who are going to one day be our age, they will know how to operate within this earth when they're dealing with basically Satan in a man's form and men doing wicked things to the sisters. This is also good for men as well, is you need to be teaching, making sure that being the head of your household, if you have Christ truly upon your head, how you're supposed to be working with your woman and dealing with her and taking her through these scriptures so she understands how to operate with the Most High. And when she's giving that information out to the children, when you may not be around at work or what have you, how she's bringing the household together so that we all operating as one unit as a family, and then we're operating as one unit as not only a tribe but as a nation. So we're looking for some calls or anyone to have anything to say. We'll give it a few moments. Brother, can we go to break real quick?
Mm-hmm. We can go to break.
All right.
I gotta give me a second here. I just love this song.
Okay, you guys, relax. Okay? Take a deep breath. Be fine, don't worry. You ready?
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy
Come here.
day.
Come here and stand over here.
When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. Jesus washed. When Jesus washed.
Y'all gonna have to do better than this.
Oh, happy day.
All right, you guys, take a cue from me.
La 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 la. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. My Jesus washed.
Okay. All right. So we got two callers. Let's go ahead and open the lines up. We're going to start with 323 area code. Go ahead.
Shalom, X.
Shalom.
This is Arya Naham. How you doing, brother?
How you doing, bro? You all good?
Oh, man, I'm blessed out here, man. Get to be able to have my phone back on so I can listen to you brothers bring the word. Shalom, Elder Royal.
Shalom, Brother Ariel Nahim. How you doing, brother?
Man, just sitting in with my wifey right here. We enjoying the Susanna story, man. She was a blessed sister. And it was a blessing that you brothers brung that out.
Hey, praise the Father, and we just want to put this out there. We praise the Father for those of all y'all who are listening to us and can hear our word, because the Scripture says that, and we're just spokespeople. We're just spokesmen for the Most High, and the Most High says, and Yeshaya says that when you hear the voice, the people will know. They'll know the voice. Mm-hmm. And so you following the voice. It's not just us. We dealing with the Most High and with Yeshaya. So I appreciate you, brother, and hopefully I'll try to contact you later tonight or tomorrow, but we'll see you this weekend. If not, you let us know if it's the weekend afterwards, but we'll look to see you this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward for that. Talk to Chris Shamach today. And, everything's in line. A couple of brothers going to be out there with us, so that's going to be a nice one right there to hit the streets with you out here in Watts and Compton. So, yeah, that'll be a blessing.
Well,
I had a question. I had a question for X about the scripture he brought out where Samuel was being disobedient. In 1 Samuel, what scripture was that again?
That was 1 Samuel chapter 15. I believe it's verse 22.
Okay, the water, brother. And also about the Feast of Tabernacles. So we treat today as a Sabbath and the 8th day also. What day do we have the feast on? Do we do it 7 days or is it certain days?
In terms of the feast days, we're supposed to have feast, which means just eating. In this sense, on today, where we're in right now, if we had it together, we would have a feast. We would all be coming together, and we would be having a big feast once the Sabbath started, and we'll be living in these booths, that kind of a thing. Now, throughout the whole week, we're going to be having our own little feast amongst ourselves as our family. But on the 8th day, we would have another feast. I mean, a big feast. And that would be the Holy Convocation. That's when everybody would come back together again. Does that make any sense, Brother Ariyah?
Oh, yeah, that's good edification, Elder. I got exactly what you're saying. Thank you for clearing that up for me. The water, wa barakatah.
The water. Is your wife there, brother?
Yeah, she's right here.
Shalom.
Shalom, Sister Khadija.
Shalom, Sister Khadija.
How are you guys doing?
To the Father, we are blessed. Blessed. I'm not gonna put anything out there because I must speak to my husband first, but it's good to hear from you guys.
Now, sister, did you get any understanding? We would like to hear from a sister. Did you get any information tonight out of the studies? Either one of them, because we put 2 studies out, and if so, what was it that you got, or what is it you didn't get?
I got encouragement to be more faithful in the commandments and be righteous and don't be afraid of the Father. Well, don't be afraid of men. To be pretty much be more encouraged and rely on the Most High 100%.
Praise the Father, sister.
I'm still trying to overcome my fear.
Well, it's a big fear, sister, and I don't know. None of us are all the way there yet, but again, that's why we brought this out. And the sisters class is not just for the sisters. We direct the information towards the sisters and the brothers as well, but we try to go into these kind of topics because we know the sisters deal with this, and no one brings this forth.
Most definitely, because I have peeping times all the time over here in Watts.
And no doubt, and again, going through the scriptures, there's nothing that we deal with. I mean, absolutely nothing that we deal with as a people, whether men, women, or children, that has not been put in the scriptures. And so, and I'm glad your husband was with you tonight to go through the study, because the study is designed for the women, but it's also designed for the men because we're a family unit. And if he can understand what you're dealing with through the scriptures, and you're already dealing with it, and the sisters are already dealing with it, then the brothers need to step up and start being a little more supportive and, beef us up, beef our sisters up with these scriptures.
Most definitely. Praise the Father and the water for bringing this lesson for us.
Well, praise the Father.
And to what this, as my husband was saying, we as sisters need our husbands to protect us and know that we need protection, because we are always being a victim of men who will see us in other ways in their lust, and they will come out with false accusations. And knowing that we are in our spirit, are not doing anything wrong, we need to make sure that our husbands know our spirit and know that we are keeping the statute, laws, and commandments of the Most High and loving them as our husbands, that we will not defile our bed, our home, or our family. We need the protection of these men who will bring out false accusations because they ravish lust against us.
Yeah,
now, I'm a much older sister than you, but in my younger days, as you are young, I had issues. So just know, be strong, be blessed, and always fear the Most High, and continue to keep His statute, laws, and commandments, and bring any issues that come about to your husband so that you will have that protection of your husband to put things in order because he is the head of you.
Okay.
And once he is aware of the situation, there's no secret amongst you and your husband because it's already brought out.
Right. And that's true. But again, going back to 1 Corinthians, and the reason we brought this out is that husband has got to be on it with Christ. He's got to have Christ as his head. Now, if you look at this, what we was bringing out, you never saw Susanna's husband come to her defense.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You with me there?
Yeah, definitely.
So as a sister and as a brother, let's look at this two ways. For a sister, hey, she loved her husband. She never did anything wrong, but through the scriptures, he never came to her defense.
He never showed up. Yeah.
And that's what we need as sisters.
Exactly. Now, here comes a young elder who's got what? The word of the Most High with him. To come over there and sort through all of that stuff. He didn't even deal with the man. He didn't even deal with the husband.
Exactly.
He dealt with the Holy Spirit, and he dealt with them two elders. And he dealt with and put that down. And then afterwards, the husband says, "Oh, it's all good." So now he's happy.
He rejoices.
He had the after party.
Yeah, he came like out of the shadows, out of nowhere, like cool.
Yeah.
Right. So without it being said, let's just look at it. He never came to her defense at all. There's not a single script that shows that he did. And like y'all bringing forth the after party, so understand that. And Brother Ariel, we're not going against you or anything like that. We're just bringing scriptures.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it.
So for the sisters, go ahead, brother.
I gotta be like Daniel, man. I can't be like her husband. I can't be in the shadows coming after everything that happened, you know.
And that's another key thing. Like she wasn't like I said, immediately she was letting everybody know. It wasn't like I gotta hold off and wait until, tell my husband, or I gotta wait until who. Nah, everybody gonna know right now that this is going down.
Exactly, and it was like a life and death situation, you know.
Yeah, because sometimes it's too hard for sisters to bring forth information. If something that had happened, so it's like
that's kind of where they lean on the Most High, because of course a lot of them don't want to say anything because these two are elders, of course, and she's a lot of people see her as okay, she's a woman and they're two elders, so who are we going to believe? And through the story, they already believed the elders as they was talking, you know, and then it took Daniel to step up and like bring forth, it took Daniel to bring forth, information off the spirit for them to like change their mind. You know what I'm saying? So all that whole situation was kind of crazy. The people just automatically believed them over her.
But the whole deal on this is it happens that way all the time when it comes to sisters.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why they
all the time. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's why, like you just said, that's why they don't want to say anything right away or bring things to light, because they feel like won't nobody believe them anyway, to begin with.
Exactly, and again, we bring this out for the sisters. That's why we have the sisters class, but we always bring out brothers join in on this class as well. Husbands join in on this class as well. Sit with your women, because it's not just for the sisters. When we bring this information out, we directing it at the sisters, but whether you know it or not, we directing it through the Holy Spirit at the brothers as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we got to understand our women also according to the scriptures and what they going through. Because we got to get our families back, man. We got to get our families together, and we all got to be in an understanding under the Most High.
Exactly, and that's why we want the women to speak, because like we hear like sometimes they feel like they don't have a voice, and that's what we giving them here. We want the women to say something, call in and say, hey, I appreciate the lesson. I learned. You don't even have to say I learned this, I learned that. You say, hey, I appreciate it. That's what we here for. We here for the women. Like Elder said, the men learning too. So y'all, we want to hear y'all.
Yeah,
all right, brothers.
That's what we try to bring forward. Go ahead, brother. I cut you off. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say I was going to get off the line so the next caller could come up. So,
Okay.
Thank you, brothers, and be talking to you soon, Elder. Thank you, X. I'll be talking to you soon, and bless you, brothers, and shalom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Shalom.
Go ahead and press 1 for me now. And we have a caller from the 702 area code. 702, go ahead. 702-764, go ahead.
Could you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, I said shalom.
Shalom.
And shalom, Elder Royal. I appreciate the lesson today. It's just embedded in me because I have 2 stepdaughters, and once they come around me, I can share about that sister in the Apocrypha. I can share that with them and show them how to keep it truthful and follow the laws, and I can also, show them other things as a woman supposed to conduct herself. So I just want to say I praise the Most High for that.
And sister, what is your name? This is Elder Royal. What is your name, sister?
Enya. I'm Ariya Shalom's wife.
Yeah. We love you, sister.
Shalom, sister.
Shalom. How can I go?
We miss you, sister, and we can't wait to get back together again. And I'm happy that you called into the show, and that at least it touched you enough to at least call us.
We are so blessed, sister.
All right.
All
I'm
right.
glad to hear you guys.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you can touch on tonight? Is something that meant something to you, special, sister?
Yeah, it's about her dedication to the Most High. It really showed me that I can be more dedicated than anything. How I am in the Most High, I can put more into it than just to be afraid to seek them more than ever in life. I can continue to go on.
And sister, you were saying that you have some stepdaughters as well?
Yeah. Yeah,
The
one is
Most
4 and one is 2.
Well, what you may want to do is, and I don't, you work that out, but as sisters, it's your job to bring this kind of information out to the young ones, so that they can be like yourself, be a Sister Susanna.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we up in age right now. I'm not going to speak for myself. I'll speak for y'all. But when you start with the young ones, which we didn't have all this information when we were younger, and bring them along slowly, give them what they can, the scriptures call it milk. But teach these young sisters, and not only the sisters, teach the brothers. Susanna is not just for the sisters. We bring it out in the sisters' classes, but these stories are for all of us. It's for all of our edification. So if you got those little stepdaughters or whatever, those are children of Israel. And they give us these names of step this and step that or whatever, but those are children of Israel. And if you have charge over them, do what you can to bring these scriptures out. Go ahead, sister.
Sister Anya, just as an elder sister to you, I am a stepchild to my father's wife. I'm also a stepmother to my husband's son, and I don't use step in any form of the word, because what is my husband is mine. Those are my babies. That's my baby. I didn't have to go through the labor or pain, but that's my son. And if you have two young daughters that needs to hear the word of the Most High, whether the mother is in the scriptures or not, you are that mother as well. And so whenever you have those babies with you, you read the scriptures to them. And read them as a young, like stories being told, like the fairy tale story. No, I'm not saying read scriptures like fairy tale. I'm saying read the scriptures to them for the words that they need to hear. Like our parents have read fairy tales to us on stuff that was not real to us or not true to us. You can take them into this book right here and give them the scriptures of truth of the Most High in His Word, in following the statute, laws, and commandments, so that these young women can be raised up in a righteous way, knowing the Word of the Most High, knowing how they should carry themselves, knowing how they should be treated, and knowing that if some elder or older man comes to them on a foul way that is not a righteous way, they already know the scriptures because they've been read to them as a child up until when they become young adults or adults that they are now responsible for their actions. They are grounded and rooted in the Word to know what they need to do. So read the scriptures to them. They may not understand, but continue to read the scriptures to them, so when they get to the age of understanding, they already know that story because you've read that story to them so often enough, they got the understanding. And give them understanding as you're reading it to them.
Thank you.
Because those are your babies now.
All right, thanks for the understanding of the word step. I appreciate that.
All praise to the Father.
All right, Sister Anya, I'm going to put you back on hold and just press 1 for me. All right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks. Yeah, Sister. Well, that's all the calls we got for tonight. Elder Rowe, did you have anything else you want to touch on? Or Sister Sean?
All right, Sister Sean, I think she wants to bring some information out real quick, so hold tight.
Okay, well, I would like to put out, brothers and sisters that's listening, we looking for folks to help out on maintaining the different websites that we have put up. So if you're good at typing or writing, taking notes, or want to support the church, we need some support, whether it be writing or speaking or drawing pictures and whatnot. Just give me a text message at this number as soon as I find the number.
And while Brother Xavier is looking for the number, I want to put the same information out as well. We need support, and we're not asking for money. We are, the Most High takes care of us. What we are asking for is people who know web design, whatever talents. People, we're looking for sisters that know how to sew. We've got and do arts and crafts, do things like crocheting. We've got a lot of sisters that my wife is big into cooking.
Yeah.
We all know that. So if there are sisters that are looking to learn how to cook, contact us. And my wife can work with there. We also have a sister in Las Vegas that and I don't want to speak on her behalf, but she does sewing. So we've got some of the elder sisters that can do certain things. There's a lot of technology that some of us may or may not know. So if, we have sisters that are dealing with, I don't know why I said technology, sisters are dealing with sewing, crocheting, knitting, and all kind of things. So what we're trying to do is bring the sisters together within California to be able to, and I'm going to speak about Sister Sadiqa out of Los Angeles. This sister has a talent for putting, she's got like I'm just going to use what I know when I saw her doing it, the floral arrangement, but it's bigger than floral arrangement. She's got an artistic side to her. So if we're looking for sisters that have different talents that can bring those to the table, and we'll get you in contact with other sisters to help their body. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yep. This is the number right here, 405-588-4548. So yeah, I mean, just like Elder Royal putting it, if you got a talent, it's time to use it, time to exercise it. We putting them together. Did I say the number right? 405-588-4548. And our email is goccalifornia@yahoo.com. So talents, if you working, if you constantly working, financial way is a good help also, financially. So we can go ahead and knock out the radio bill, which is $40 a month. And I think we $20 into it. So yeah, I think that's about it right there. Sister Shawn. Go ahead, Sister Shawn.
Sister Shawn is good to go for the night.
Okay, cool. All right, brothers and sisters, we're gonna go ahead and close it out. Y'all have a good Shabbat Shalom and Feast of Tabernacles. Y'all hit us up, goccalifornia@yahoo.com. I'm looking for people to interview, so y'all, I need y'all participation. So come on in and let's get this done. All right.
And then let me put something else out there. We've been working for the last week and a half diligently, and I'm saying we, that's been my son Ariah, to put together our YouTube site. So for all the footage that we received so far, and we do have certain brothers that, Ariah, not him, that are going to get us some additional footage, hopefully this weekend when we hook up. But we've got the website is up. We're not broadcasting it yet, but we're going to put a lot of information out there on that on website, especially on the baptism and the Sabbath service that we just had. So stay in contact. We love you, and spread the word. Let brothers and sisters know, and spread the word and continue to support us. Thank you very much. Shalom.
And I saw that I was living wrong, wild out, yes I was. Now I do my best to follow these laws, oh yeah. And I decided I'll stop playing games, I don't wanna be the same. I used to be. Oh no, I'ma change my life. I'ma do things right. Even when it's hard, I gotta be faithful like He is to me. I'ma do my best. To keep the commandments. Oh yeah. See, I played both sides too much. And the truth, out the truth, back and forth too much.